Now it's here. Or should I say, I am.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Marvel Buddies podcast. It's Micro here with Knight. No, wait, five.
What's up?
Yeah. All right. So, I didn't bring a character this time, but I did bring something interesting for you. All right. So there's an event, and a lot of people, not all, because I personally do, consider this to be Marvel's like darkest event, like the scary stuff, right? So this is before I start anything, I have to say there's like a big trigger warning for people who are afraid of like heavy violence and gore and that kind of stuff.
Is it gonna be gory?
Yo, it is not good looking, all right? But before I talk about this thing, I have
Wait,
to
what Marvel character can be gory?
it's not a character. It's not a character. It's an event.
Wait, events?
It's an event. Yeah, it's an event in the Marvel timeline. All right, and before I talk about this, I have to mention a specific character who sees all of this happen. Right. And before I talk about that, just to people in stream, I just want to let you know real quick where I've been, because it's been like fucking forever. Happy New Year! Merry Christmas! It's been forever, dude. It's been...
Wait, when was your last stream?
I want to say December 20...
Wait, what?
8th?
Are you
I
serious?
think my last stream was December 28th. Maybe. I think.
No way.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I streamed.
No way it's been that long.
Yeah, I streamed right before or around Christmas time, so it's been a while since I've streamed.
Wow.
And then it was holiday break, so I didn't stream for the holidays. And then I went out on vacation, and then I got sick, and then what a do? Then I got sick. I couldn't speak, and I sounded like crap. And then today I almost also didn't stream because I had like body aches, but it's all good. I came here. We're back on the grind, all right. But before I talk about this event, right, I have to mention another character from a similar event. So there's a line of comics, right, within Marvel. I for Crown, before I go, I will be passing through for the Super Bowl. I'll see you then. But there's a line of comics called The Marvels, right? And it follows one guy. His name is Phil Sheldon, right? He's a reporter for hire, kind of like Peter Parker, who takes pictures and whatnot. But this guy's been around for forever. He's been around since the 60s, I want to say. I want to say he's seen it all, right? This guy's been here since the beginning. And before I show anything, he's missing an eye because in his first like day of action, he witnessed Namor take on the Human Torch, the very first Marvel comic ever, and a building exploded in his face and a rock took his like right eye. So he's missing an eye. Eventually, right, Marvel writes the Marvels, right, the comic, basically Nick Fury, but anyway, Marvel writes the comic, the Marvels, right, and it's Phil's story as he's seen all of the events happen, right. The first time the Fantastic Four show up on Earth with their powers and take on the swamp monster.
Wait, so
Thor, right?
can he
The
like
Avengers.
He's just through the future?
He's just a reporter. He is nothing special. He's just a reporter. Nothing special.
Oh, okay.
So Phil Sheldon wrote a book about all of his experiences, including the mutants. And at the time, right, when the mutants came out, everyone hated them. They're like, oh, disgusting, go back, ill, we're gonna kill you all, right? So he's seen everything, all the way up until the last thing he sees is Galactus, right? When Galactus comes, he has a panic attack because the Earth is gonna explode, and eventually the Fantastic Four save them. He sees them save it, and he writes the book, publishes it, and he's a hit. The comic I'm here to talk about is not that one.
What?
I'm here to talk about an alternate timeline of that comic called Marvel Ruins, right? And I will show you, Pranay, I will send this to you. I don't know if you're in the stream or not, but I will send it to you.
Alright.
I will send it to you. Where is it? This is what the comic looks like, right? If you want to describe it to them before I post the picture up, I will let you do that.
So you want to describe it?
Yeah. So what's going on?
So
here?
it's Phil here, right?
Mhm.
The guy Phil.
Mhm.
He's looking down on all these superheroes like Spider-Man, Scarlet Witch, Captain America, Iron Man, Hulk.
That's
And
Jean
is that
Grey. Jean
Oh.
Grey. Yeah, from the X-Men.
he's holding a camera?
Yeah.
And what else is he holding?
If I'm not mistaken, that is a stopwatch, but I could be wrong about that. Right, and that's kind of like the artistic style of the comic. I can show you what it looks like here, chat. This is what it looks like, right? As you can see, it's not really like drawn or penciled or painted, or it's not drawn or colored the way it normally would be. It's watercolors that does it, and the reason the guy that did it this way is it's it looks more gory than it should, right? But it's still extremely gory. So the comic begins, right, with a quote, and it kind of mirrors the event that we're talking about. It says, "For every kiss, a bullet in the face. For every action, a reaction. For every event, there exists a potential mirror event, an exact opposite possibility. If the world's you know is one of Marvel's, where heroic women walk invisibly through horror and men of fire ride in the upper reaches of the air, then only a misstep or a stopped heartbeat away is a world of ruin," right? And it begins with Phil in California, right? Talking about like missiles and whatnot being sold. Obviously, it refers to Tony Stark, who's a weapons dealer, right? And the first thing you see is a explosion in the air, killing a bunch of people, right? And Phil giving his introduction. It's like, "My name is Phil Sheldon, and I'm writing this because it's all gone wrong. My friends and family think I'm nuts. I've given up at the photo job at the Bugle for this. And you have to consider what I'm about to tell you," right? And so you remember in the other event, he worked for the Bugle, and he told stories about all these marvels and wonders, whereas now these marvels don't exist. The heroes don't exist, right? So he's leaving. He left the Bugle to write this book, and it starts with a bunch of photographic images, and it starts with Tony at Stark Industries in a suit and tie, right? That's the first image, and it says Anthony Stark, genius, engineer, and millionaire industrialist, California's favorite son, all set a few years back to visit Vietnam, right? At the time, the big war that Tony was selling the weapons to was for the Vietnam War, and use his marvelous mind to end the war. The president sent the National Guard into California to suppress dissent and pro-sectionism. Stark, trying to mediate, got clipped by shrapnel from a grenade, and so Stark put that marvelous mind to work all right. He saved himself with his technology, became the man in the iron mask to the newspapers, and then joined with the others, California scientists like Pym and the gurus like Stephen Strange, to form a revolutionary cell, the Avengers. They were revolutionary heroes of the wildest dreams of French literature, right? And so you had all these like heroes joining together for a very brief moment, right? But the Guard strayed, and secession from America became just another idea. Was that the last Quinjet of how many of them are still alive, right? This is basically that explosion in the air that we're talking about was the Avengers blowing up. And I can show you a picture here of what that looks like. Here's Phil, right? And here's oh, my bad. I covered the screen there. There it is. I'll drag it down a little. Here's Phil, and here's the Quinjet blowing up, and all the Avengers kind of free falling and dying. See us on day.
What the hell?
Yup. And it's because this is Marvel's goriest storyline. And you kind of have to have some background knowledge on the origins of some of these characters. I mean, some of them are fairly obvious, right? You have like Iron Man was clipped by his own weapon and healed himself, right? That one's simple enough. But hopefully you guys remember some of the events that we covered. Do you remember? Were you here when I covered Daredevil? Do you remember how Daredevil got his powers or powers?
No, I don't think I was there.
Okay, so
For
there was a truck filled with like radiation, like sludge from like radiation or whatever, like the radioactive material,
yeah,
and it was going to hit an old man, and Matthew Murdock, who becomes Daredevil, pushed the old man out of the way, and the truck skid out of control. The acid and the chemicals got on his eyes, and he became blind. Right, that's how he became Daredevil.
yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Well, we find Phil Sheldon. I combined his name. Phil is in a bar right now, currently in Canada, and he's reading a line, and the line says, "Atom truck crash inquiry. Young hero Matthew Murdock died in hospital today from radiation burns, and neural damage sustained when struck across the eyes by radioactive material heard from atom containment transport." Right, and here it is. Here he is reading that, right, and just under. Can you see who it is? Can you tell who that is? I know it's a little hard to see.
Yeah, it kind of is.
All right.
Who is?
So he's at a bar in Canada. It's Wolverine, right? The bar reeks of stable cigars and bad plumbing. If you know what I mean. I wouldn't dare to come in here. I didn't. If I didn't need to take my pills with a drink, right? And he's like, yeah, we got orange juice or whatever. And then the guy that's there, obviously that's Wolverine, is hassling him, right? He's like, hey, buy me a drink. And the guy tells him, is like, you don't want to take notice of the Canuck here, right? That's like, I guess, I don't really know what that means, to be fair. I guess it just means like Canadian or whatever. And he's like, he's just kind of crazy and he's got a gross bone disease. Show him your hand. And he goes to show him his hand, and it's really gross. And this is what it looks like. It's all like scaly, and there's like it's his skin where his claws should be coming out. It's just peeling off, right? It's falling off. Yeah, and he's like, don't cry. Promise I'd give you a drink for that one, didn't I? A small one, right? And he's kind of like messing with him. And it's because he, they, but basically that's kind of how that, like the world is, right? Like there's no heroes. Everyone is just gone, right? I'm going to send you another image, and
all the heroes are dying in this.
They're all dead, dying, or in prison, or in something, right? I'm gonna say
because of Phil.
No, because it. All right, have you? And this is a real life phenomenon. Have you heard of? If I'm not mistaken, it's called Murphy's Law. Have you ever heard of that?
I've know a little about Murphy's Law.
So the way it goes is anything that can go wrong will go wrong, right?
Oh.
This universe, everything goes wrong, right? Nothing goes as planned. Right?
Wow.
In a world where there's a 1% chance of anything of getting superheroes and all that happening, right? This world, that 1% never happens. If there's a chance that it'll go wrong, it will go wrong. Everything goes wrong, right? So, I sent you an image. Can you just describe what you're seeing?
Is that
The
Black
yeah.
Panther on the first picture?
Yep.
Hawkeye, Iron Man.
And the last one is the Scarlet Witch.
Yeah. Looks like. Okay, Hawkeye looks like he's getting shot in the head.
Yeah.
But the first picture of Black Panther is kind of hard to describe.
So, do you know who the Black Panthers are? The like historical figures? They were so during the Civil Rights Movement, the Black Panthers were the group that kind of sided. I'm not too familiar with it, but if I'm not mistaken, they were deemed to be domestic terrorists, right? They were like practically like they didn't believe in the non-violence and the protesting. They believed
Yeah.
in like going after them and taking what's right, or they won't give it to you, kind of thing, right? Black Panther was their leader, right? He was Black
R-
Panther, right?
right.
So he's being arrested for domestic terrorism.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
In
I
that
can,
first image, if you can
yep.
see
I
where
see the
his
chain.
gloves are, they're binding. Yep. And then
Yeah.
lower down there you have Tony Stark, right?
Yeah.
Who's holding
That one
someone
looks
hostage.
interesting.
He's holding someone hostage. And the last one is Wanda, who, if you read what it says, ex-Avenger Wanda Maximoff Lensher turned state evidence in return for immunity at the Department of Justice, right? So, Wanda was a villain before, right? She worked for the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants under Magneto, and then
Yep.
became an Avenger. So she's trading in secrets of the Avengers, the Brotherhood, the X-Men, all that kind of stuff for immunity so that she doesn't get arrested for her crimes as a Brotherhood member. And I can show you guys
Jesus.
what it looks like here. I full screened it again. I apologize for that. Put it back on. Here's kind of what it looks like. The best I can give you. Here's Iron Man. I wish I could zoom in with this one, but here's the four of them. Wanda. But yeah, that's them, right? Going to jail, and this is the evidence that Phil has collected so far, and so he decides to go searching for more evidence in Nevada. Now, did we ever talk? I know we talked briefly, about the different races. I know if you guys have seen my like Marvel timeline event, I spoke about all the different aliens, the main ones, the Kree, the Skrulls, and the humans, right? And then the Kree Skrull War. You remember that one from Captain Marvel, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So do you remember they explained that the Kree were kind of aggressive and decided to like conquer planets and whatnot?
Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the planets if you remember from the Kree Skrull War during Secret Invasion, or during that whole Kree Skrull War, they decide to use Earth as a base because it's in the middle.
Right.
So the Kree, on their first attempt to invade Earth in this universe, they fail, and it's actually really lucky. And because they fail, they're all put in what is basically like some sort of concentration camp. Yeah.
What?
Yes. And this is
What?
this is what it looks like. Here's Phil, and here's all the Kree. You can see because they're blue, right? Look at the kid here. He's got like no bones. I might be a little hard to see. I will send it to you.
Wait, those are all the Krees?
Those are all Kree people. They're Kree the Kree, whatever Kree survived, right? That's them. And I sent the picture over. You can kind of zoom in on that kid there. But that's the Kree, right? And he says like it's both punishment and a reminder to this once proud warrior species. None of the children know why they're here. It's worse for the few children born alive here. For the Kree, don't teach children their failures, right? So all of them failed in their mission to invade, and it's part of like Kree religion to never talk about failure. So they'll never know why they were born inside of a concentration camp. Basically, they're stuck in this jail cell forever, right? And so Phil goes in to speak to them, and the U.S. Army is there, right, with hazmat suits because they're aliens and they don't want any radiation to come out. And so they're like, I'm here to interview the Kree spokesman, who is Mar-Vell, the person that Captain Marvel sees in her visions. It was the female in Captain Marvel, the old lady. If you remember her.
Captain Marvel?
From Captain Marvel, the old lady that she sees in her visions. I can pull them up in a Google image if you want.
Yeah.
Okay.
That would be nice.
Yeah. Here is what she looked like in Captain Marvel. The old lady that she saw in her visions.
Oh, was that
Yeah.
from the post? No.
That was what she
Yeah,
saw in her visions. Yeah.
Yeah.
In the comics, it was a dude. The original Captain Marvel. This is what he looked like. He was Mar-Vell, right? This is kind of what he looked like. And as you can see, it's why Captain Marvel is the way she is, like a blonde, same color scheme and whatnot. But he's deciding to go speak to the Kree spokesman, which was Marvell, who was supposed to be the he was supposed to be what's the word I'm looking for? The person that he was a spy for the Kree that helped them kind of infiltrate. He's like the person that understands humanity, right? And do you want to see what some of them look like? I can show you a
Oh God.
yeah, this gets
I don't like the sound of that.
it gets worse. Look at here. I'll send you the
Easy.
image. I'll send you the image and I'll
Ew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He says, he starts shamelessly looking up at the alien, an alien, rattled with shame and cancer, half blinded by a mutant cataract, right? Like me, he has only questions burning in his one good eye. What happened? How did we come to this, right? And here they are. They got their face. Their like whole face is melting off. He has cataracts in his eye. Like you can see the difference. This one's clearer than the other one.
Jesus.
His whole face is just melting off, right? I told you this would be gory. And
I wouldn't like never see.
yeah, Marvel
It's out
will
of Marvel.
never post this on a movie, bro. They will never in their lives make a movie out of this. But this is why you read the comics, because they get 20 times better and they're darker and gorier, right? But yeah, Phil comes in and he decides to speak to Marvell, right, the spokesman for the Kree, and he's like, I'm planning on writing a book, and I don't have a lot of time in a lot of ways, right? Because Phil, if you remember when he was at the bar, he has to take pills, right? So the guy tells him, like, Mr. Sheldon, please be seated. I'm Marvell, interlocutor to the interned Kree Liberation Force. I understand you wish to interview me, right? And he's like, 3 years ago, the KLF, the Kree Liberation Force, was directed by the Supreme Intelligence, who was the do you remember the old lady she kept seeing in her visions?
Yeah.
Remember when they were in the White Room? She went into her
Yeah.
brain. Yeah, that's the Supreme Intelligence. Do you wanna see a picture of what it actually looks like?
Oh my God.
It doesn't look that bad, but it does look gross. Here's what the Supreme Intelligence looks like in Marvel Comics. It's just a head with a bunch of tentacles. Right? In the in Captain Marvel, it was what you believed it to be, and it is true. It's when you're plugged into the Supreme Intelligence, it is whatever you believe it to be, right? Whoever you deem to see it. A lot of characters like that. Galactus is like that. But that's the Supreme Intelligence. That guy, he's kind of like an AI or like a computer for the Kree. He says, he told us to liberate this world from its government and yoke it to our authority. I remember the singing as this Strikecator lifted off, and all those hollow songs, and he tells them, like, why did your invasion of Earth fail? And he says, it was all going well. The hull of my ship shrilled like choirs, and we kicked into the terrain of local space. We stepped around your moon and in the process of nailing down to orbit, we saw it. A silver humanoid, quite dead, slowly twisting above Earth. It was a thing of space, sealed biology without need for atmosphere, but it once breathed, or it had once breathed. I'm going to send you a picture of that, and you tell me, or you tell them what's going on. Look at the bottom picture. First one's just a spaceship.
Is that Silver Surfer?
Yes, sir.
It looks like. Yo, is it his body cut in half or something?
It almost looks like he's melting away, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. So here it is for you guys to see. The Silver Surfer melting away. There it is at the bottom. Right there. He's like melting in half. But yeah, that's that. And I can send you this one.
And just like that, he's
gone.
dead.
He's dead. We don't know how, but so they just said Silver Surfer died. And here's a deeper image of it. It's perhaps it had gone mad, wanted to know again what it was like to breathe air, but it was sealed. Our conclusion was that deranged, it had clawed open its own chest to expose its lungs to the atmosphere and died of shock. Too late, we noticed the creature was giving off energy, some horrible, potent cosmic power beyond our experience. It negated our cloaking arrays. And in those precious minutes, we had been exposed to the stare of your world. All you... I can't say this word, but, I can't say this word.
Wait.
The R word usually means, slow. Little pink monkeys working in unison for the first time to kill. We had barely realized our visibility when your dirty nuclear projectiles detonated among us. Barely a tenth of us survived falling to your mercy in drop boxes. I can't even... I want to show this image, but I don't even think I can because of that one word. I'm just going to do it anyway. But yeah. Here's Silver Surfer. With
maybe if you showed it on a stream, probably the text or like. Okay, never mind.
Yeah.
I could see it.
Yep. Anyway, you guys caught enough of that. It wasn't me who said it, by the way. It was written on paper. It's literature, not me. I don't know how that works, but whatever. And he says, barely a tenth of us survived falling to your mercy in drop boxes, right? And he says, your mercy. We were placed here, the site of your early nuclear experiments. Your species had a sense of humor. We are denied our surviving medicines. If you removed your helmet, Mr. Sheldon, you could smell my rotting bones. 1 child out of 8 is born alive. The soldiers refuse to carry our dead out. We have to burn them in piles, and we all have cancer. On my world, Mr. Sheldon, I was considered very much a dissident. I argued against your liberation. I stood for your self-determination. But now I'm broken. This concentration camp will be empty in 30 years. And none of my people will listen when I tell them, I know I was wrong. Get out. And he kicks them out, right? This is where things take a massive turn, right? Who do you think is president right now in this universe? Who would you say is the president of the United States?
I don't know. It could be anybody.
All right. So
I mean, I feel like if I take a guess, you know,
Take a guess.
make me sound stupid.
Go for it. Anybody.
Like what time?
It is around the 1960s.
1960s.
Late 1960s, like almost 1970s. Or around, it should be around the 70s.
JFK?
No, definitely not. It's not a real person. It's a comic book character.
Oh.
It's a Marvel character. Good try, though.
Oh, you see what I mean, though?
You're fine. You're fine. A Marvel character. JFK. No, someone in chat clip that, please. That was hilarious. Oh my god, that was hilarious. What's up? Who do you think? Anybody? Just name someone.
No, I don't know.
Okay. So
I don't want to take another guess.
Okay. So they refer to the character as President X, and you can clearly tell it's Xavier because he's bald, in a wheelchair, and is being pushed around by a mutant. So there were pictures taken by Ben Urich, who is the photographer that works along with Daredevil, or the news writer that works along with Daredevil, and Gwen Stacy, who used to be. She used to work for the Bugle under Phil Sheldon in the other comic before Phil quit when Gwen Stacy was killed by the Green Goblin, right? He was in that universe. He was on his way to pick her up, and the Green Goblin snatched her from her house and took her to the Brooklyn Bridge where she would fall and die, and Phil kind of blames himself a little for it because he believes that if he would have been there earlier, he could have saved her. Right? You know, like the whole, if I should have been there to help her or whatever. In this universe, the Green Goblin doesn't exist because there's definitely...
What?
There's a lack
There's no villain?
Well, there's no Green Goblin, so there's
okay.
Gwen Stacy is, you know, she can worry about living a natural life without falling off a bridge, so... Um, but yeah, there's pictures that he has of the president on his lawn because it's Professor Xavier, and he's being pushed by a man with wings, right? It's difficult to see because it looks like it's been scratched out, um, and we know that President X authorized a new wave of airstrikes in the Genosian police action, increasingly referred to as the Genosian War. Do you know what Genosha is, Roll? I know I didn't talk a lot about the
Genosha,
X-Men.
nope.
Okay, Genosha is the place where Magneto sets up it's an island that Magneto makes that is supposed to be a safe haven for mutants. Obviously, because no one ever likes the mutants, they go to war with Genosha and they send the Sentinels after them. In this timeline, Professor X is nuking them, so he's sending like airstrikes at them, and for some reason, Professor X, we don't know why, hates mutants. Like, he's a mutant himself. The guy that's pushing his wheelchair is Warren, also referred to as Angel and then later Archangel. So we don't know why he hates mutants, but he's literally just nuking like Genosha, and it gets worse when they talk about the mutants. But Phil decides that he's going to Washington D.C. and he hates it. He's like, I hate this city. It's here that the American dream decided it liked the taste of the vomit it's choking on. Just rolled over on its back and screamed for more drugs. I didn't. It didn't die. And he ends up meeting a very famous colonel, Nick Fury, the white one from the 70s, before or all the way up until the 90s, right? And he tells him, like, Colonel Fury, good of you to finally meet me, find the time to meet me. And he's like, you use my name in public again and I'll put a bullet through your head, right? Because Nick Fury needs to keep his, like, identity a secret, right? He's like, you're making quite a stir, been spotted in the two most security-sensitive areas in the country, right? And then we get this scene. I'm going to send it to you, and I hopefully I remember the characters' names. They're very minor characters, but they are twins, right? They're French twins for a mutant team known as Alpha Flight, right? They're Canadian X-Men, basically. And the guy at the bottom is, if I'm not mistaken, that's one is Aurora. The girl is Aurora, and the guy, if I'm not mistaken, it's like white.
Wait, the girl with white hair?
Yes, the girl with white. They both have white hair, but yes. The girl with white hair is, if I'm not mistaken, Aurora. I can look them up. Alpha Flight's twins. It's Aurora and Northstar. Those are their names. This is what they look like. I can pull up an image. This is what they look like. Here's I always like using the toys because they kind of get them right.
Jeez, bro. They don't look like that.
They don't look like that, right? They have dark hair, right? They're literally in that image. They are pretty much just wearing like something to cover their privates, and are scrounging and starving. The North Star is practically dead,
and they're stuck together. It looks like
they're attached together. Yes, because they're twins.
Yeah.
If you remember, like twins, when they come from the same cell, right? And then they split and become twins. They're attached by the arm, and they're speaking French. I don't know what they're saying because I don't speak French. But basically, yeah, that's how mutants are in this society. And while that's going on, Nick and Phil are talking. He's like, and then you write to me. I tell you, if I didn't know you were dying, we'd have had you locked up in California. And Phil tells him, like, how do you know I'm dying? Right? And he's like, not much gets past the agency. Don't know why you're wasting your twilight days on this cross-country thing, but how about this rain, huh? He's like, I'm writing a book. And Nick Fury kind of looks at him. He's like, a book? And he beats the shit out of him for writing a book. Yeah. He just tells him, he's like, well, you're writing a book? And he punches him. He just drops him. He literally punches him in the stomach hard enough to make him, like, spill up blood. And he tells him, he's like, that's right, you stay down there. Now hear this, I'm clean. I ain't seen America since the big war. And I proved I got no connections with the Avengers, right? And he's obviously trying to speak to someone who has some sort of connection to Captain America. Obviously, they'll never speak to the Avengers because they're all dead. And Bucky's probably long gone. He's like, you don't understand. I'm not a political writer. It's them I'm writing about. The different ones. I contacted you because you knew Captain America. And Phil kind of slowly gets up and he's like, I ain't seen America in a long, long time. You never get the feeling it's all wrong, Sheldon. Like maybe all this weird sick stuff that happened should really be something wonderful. And then Nick Fury pulls a gun out on him, right? And he's like, you see the book? I might call it Marvels, right? Haha, get it? Like the book that he came from?
Yeah, Marvel.
Yep. And he's like, communicates my feeling that this world took a wrong turn. Interviewing people who witnessed weird phenomenons gives me the clue. Anyway, Nick Fury pulls a gun out on him, but ends up shooting like these rabid dogs that are chasing behind him. So Nick Fury has a loaded gun because it comes important later. He's like, well, I don't get that feeling. I kind of like things the way they are. I don't feel guilty about not making an effort to understand the world. Like this dog got rabies. Do I care why? No. Easy, right? You're in for a lot of pain, Sheldon. I ain't gotta stop you interviewing folks, but me and the agency would like to read that thing sometimes, right? Then there's this image. I'm sending this to you, and I'm going to ask you to explain what you see here. I want you to read also if you can.
Is that Phoenix?
That is Phoenix, Jean Grey.
Wait, from like starting to the right or left?
It's not anime, so you start from the left, like a normal American book.
Oh, all right. In fact, I'll give you an anecdote.
Anecdote, yeah.
Or anecdote. Back in the war, it was America introduced me to eating human meat. Excuse me, my name's Gene. I'll do it better than anyone.
For $20. You get it?
$20.
You get why? Jean
Wait.
Grey is a frosty prosty, my dude. He is.
What?
She is soliciting them for money. Yeah. She's saying she'll
What?
do better than anyone for $20, right? Yeah. You want to see what the next image is?
No.
You want to see
No.
what the? Yeah. You want to see what the next image
No.
is? Yeah, bro. Look at this. Look at this. I'm not joking. Yo, this is what I mean. Trigger warning, bro.
Oh.
You thought he was gonna do it with her? Yeah, no, he blows her fucking guts out, dude. Literally, with his gun. Yeah, he's like, doubt that. And he shoots her in the stomach, right?
That's messed up.
She also lies about her age, to be fair. Because she says, he's like, how old are you? And she's like, as old as you need to be. And he shoots her, right? Obviously, Nick Fury isn't a P word. But he shoots her and he's like, pain. This country's mutating and it ain't really reached New York yet. You gotta be a mutant to survive what's coming. X knows, I tell ya. Are you a mutant, Colonel Fury? And he's like, sure, moral mutant. And then the last thing he does is blow up a car filled with mutants. And he's like, I gotta take a short nap now. And then does this. I definitely don't think I can show this on Twitch. But he does this. And if you want to explain yourself without saying the S word, you could go ahead and say it. S-U.
Like.
Yes.
That
word.
Yeah. I don't know if there's another way to like. To
he unalives himself.
Unalived. Yes.
He deletes living.exe. That's what he does, bro. He says Alt F4 from life.
Don't tell me this is how the story ends.
Nope, that's Nick Fury. That's how Nick Fury ends it for himself. Oh. That's not Phil, that's Nick, right? Nick Fury. Yeah, it's hard to tell because they both have an eye patch.
Yeah.
If you can tell, Phil has a mustache. Nick Fury doesn't.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, Phil blows his brains out. Or Nick blows his brains out. That's how that ends, right? And then there's this image. And do you remember that I told you the Marvels ended with Galactus and that situation with him writing about the Galactus event?
Yeah.
Alright. Well, here's this.
What?
Yep. Telescope photos of Mars discover a corpse of a supreme being in orbit. How do you think the world will feel now when they discover that there's no God anymore? They literally see this thing, and everyone's like, hey, is that God? And then he's just drifting. dead. How do you? First of all, like Christianity be damned, Jesus Christ don't look like that. But number two, they're all shitting their brains out when they realize that God is just drifting through space, right? So there's that. And here is one more image I want to show you. Oh no, never mind, wrong one. We're not there yet. So after that, right? He gets the newspaper. You find out another Marvel character is gone, and slowly but surely, more and more of these Marvel characters are dying. So I don't think we've ever covered the Hulk here on Marvel Buddies, but do you know who Rick Jones is, Raul?
Rick Jones.
I may have covered him when I covered the Avengers or Captain America. Do you know who Rick Jones is?
I'm guessing he's related to the Hulk
Yep.
family.
So, do you remember? Well, yes, technically yes. He later becomes A-Bomb, if I'm not mistaken, who is the blue version of the Hulk, who can I think he can morph parts of his body. Do you remember? This is where things get crazy. But do you remember? How Hulk got his powers originally, not in the movies, but in the comics back in the day?
Oh, and in the comics, no. Movies, yes.
All right, so he was testing a gamma bomb that they could use during the Cold War, and there's a kid out on the field. That kid is Rick Jones. He's playing his guitar, and the Hulk or Bruce Banner, right, goes out into the field to tell the kid that there's a nuke that's about to go off, and he should leave. He tells there's a like communist spy working with him, and he hated Bruce because he knew Bruce was a smart guy. And instead of stopping the bomb, he let it go off to try and kill Bruce because Bruce was such a good, brilliant scientist. They wanted to stop him, right? The bomb goes off. Hulk mutates with all that gamma energy, or Bruce mutates with all that gamma energy, and then becomes the Incredible Hulk, right? Here is a different story, right? We have Phil going to Chicago, right, to speak with Rick Jones, right? He knocks on the door. He's like, a woman answered the boarding house door, a grave baby in her arms. The baby had a fistula in its chest. For $1, said the woman, I'll be allowed to hear this fistula saying, our Lord is dead, right? Don't forget my baby's name, she screamed as I edged past and upstairs. He'll be the Messiah one day. Damien Hellstrom. Don't forget Damien Hellstrom. I definitely know we never covered Hellstrom before, but do you know who, God, what is this guy? Do you know who Mephisto is?
Yes.
Okay, Damien Hellstrom is the son of the devil. Basically, Marvel's devil is Mephisto. He is Mephisto's son. He is a superhero who can control like hellfire. He's really cool, actually. I can show you what he looks like. Damien Hellstrom. This is what he looks like in the comics. He's got like that fire torch and the satanic symbol, right? The son of Satan, right? You know, and here he is, right? He fights like devils and demons and stuff like that, right? He's another kind of like Doctor Strange type of character. Here's what he looks like in more Marvel, like newer continuity. He's got that pitchfork, and he's a anti-hero, like kind of like Venom. Because he is a demon, right? But he's a demon, but sometimes he fights like other demons. He's not really good, right? So like Damien's upbringing was very rough because he's literally a demon, and his mom goes like crazy and whatnot. So that's his mom, and like he goes into like this apartment, Phil, and the person that runs the apartment is carrying Damien, right? And she's basically saying this will be our Messiah one day. And it had a fistula in its chest. I actually don't know what that is. I assume it's like some sort of disease.
Fistula?
Fistula? Yeah, it's abnormal connection between organs and vessels, and fistulas can be thought of as tubes connecting internal tubes such as arteries or veins, right? Yeah. So he has like a tube in his chest basically.
Ooh.
Which is kind of gross. But he, whatever. Another character that's never going to reach its full potential or die early. So Phil ends up knocking on Rick Jones' door, and Rick walks in, he opens the door, and he's like, Rick Jones ain't in, bug off. And he's like, I'm Phil Sheldon. I'm from New York. You wrote me. And he's like, I'm Rick Jones. Get in, right? So he basically like opens the door and he's like, I'm not here. No, there's no Rick Jones. And he's like, I'm Phil. And he's like, all right, come in, right? And he comes in. And he's like, here's my here's my piece, Marlo. She's cool. Marlo, say hello to the man, you cheap SLU word. She's like, piss off. Yeah, he has her like laying down on the bed. Or actually not the bed. That's the floor, and there's a toilet there, and that toilet is definitely has like cockroaches crawling around it. It's really gross. Yeah, and he's like, I'm gonna ignore that because we got a guest. You scab. Don't make me put a hand on you, right? This guy definitely beats his wife. And he tells you wrote me about something that happened in Arizona, some sort of conspiracy theory. He's like, yeah, I wrote, Allah, you journalist guys, I want the story told before the CIA finds me. Excuse me, I got liquid morphine in my flask for the pain, right? So he's a really scrawny looking dude, and he's not deformed, but he's in a lot of pain, and he's drinking liquid morphine. You know what morphine is?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's drinking a liquid version of that to numb his pain, right?
Jesus.
And he's downing like an entire bottle, and he looks at him. He wipes like the liquid off his face. He has to take like a whole bottle. And he's like, Arizona, me with a head full of Karanak on the road. This guy was on drugs, obviously. There's a huge patch of desert with nothing happening on it, except I remember seeing this big water tower out there alone in the back end of nowhere. Sat down with my guitar, made like a Woody Guthrie under the sky, got intense like before a thunderstorm, right? And there he is, he's like playing with his guitar. And he's like, I remember I was just thinking about passing a sign to my guitar like Woody Guthrie did. He said, this machine kills fascists. Then I heard the bike, right? And that's when you hear this Bruce coming on his bike to tell him, like, you got to get out of here, right? And he's like, this doctor in his white coat and everything was, like, ripping towards me. This guy was waving and screaming and shouting. All I could hear was test and trench, right? Well, I knew there was a trench. What he'd think I was going to fall in. I was definitely going to hit this guy. Some establishment, like, I was definitely going to hit the guy. Some establishment Nazi coming to tell me that I couldn't sit here. Jeez. He's like, then the water tower started to spark, right? And Bruce gets off the motorcycle. He's like, well, I was going to punch the pus out of Goebbels here, except there was panic in his eyes. He's screaming at me, it's a bomb. And I realized he's trying to save me, and I called him a Nazi. And all I could think of was that stupid sign on the wooden Guthrie guitar, this machine kills fascists, right? And I'm going to send you the first image, and then I'm going to ruin your childhood.
Oh, God.
I'm going to send you three. I'm sending you three images. Can you see what's going on there? That's when Bruce gets the explosion, and that hits him, right?
Yep.
Okay. Now, take a look at this.
And all I could think of was that stupid sign on Woody's.
Guthrie's guitar.
Guthrie's guitar.
Yeah.
Which machine kills fascists.
Fascists. Yeah. And then there's this image.
That's
The guy on the left is Rick.
Okay.
The guy in the
And
middle
so
is Bruce.
And the guy that's burning up.
At the bottom, yeah, that's Bruce, right? Obviously, when he's
Yeah.
becoming the Hulk, right?
Yeah.
All right, you ready to see what the Hulk looks like?
Oh, God.
Here it is.
Oh.
Yup. So he didn't really become the Hulk, right? Do you want to explain what's going on?
Like more like a zombie.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. You're
like
there.
deformed, like mutated. Not Hulk. I don't know how to explain it.
all right. To the longtime viewers, I know you remember. I can't spell. I think it was Meat Market. Was it Meat Market? It was Meat Market. All right. Before I show this off, right? Here's Meat Market. You remember Meat Market? Yeah. Meat Market exploded, but retained all of his organs. Right. Here's what Hulk looks like after the gamma explosion. Everything went wrong for Hulk. All right, ready for this? Here he is. There he is. There it is. Look at his eyeball. Look at
Jesus,
that.
bro.
Look at that right there. That's his eye. And here's all those cancer tumors growing on him. This is his arm, by the way. Right? His head, his body, his arm. Right? Here's his other hand. His knee is just like bone. Yeah. That's Bruce, right? And you guys couldn't really see it, but his arm has like another tumor at the bottom growing from it. His bottom arm. Yeah. And then the tumors broke him open, right? He was having so many tumors, like cancer coming at once. He just turned into this mass of cancer, and he was still alive. Man, I could see it. They keep him in a vault under a lake now, codenamed Hulk, man. You ask the CIA, he was still alive, man. Still alive. And the girl there's like, Bull, you're just a stupid junkie talking a bunch of stupid junkie spit. And then he proceeds to beat his wife. He's like, you cheap slut, I warned you, I was gonna break every bone in your face. And he beats the crap out of her. And Phil takes that opportunity to leave, right? But when he walks out of the door, this happens. And if you want to explain what you're seeing.
The Punisher?
Yep.
Someone once told me Chicago's snow has skin scraping.
Skin scraping in it. Yep. Someone basically just shot the Punisher. He fell off the roof and right on top of Phil Sheldon as he walked out of that door. I'm telling you, bro, you don't want to live in Chicago, my dude.
Chicago things, man.
Yeah, I know, for real.
Jesus.
It's just Chicago things. Anyway, death is everywhere. It's falling on us. Let me find an answer before I go. Let me show them how this happened. Please don't let me die in this place, right? There's, so that's the end of the first part of the comic, right? And so here's the second part of the comic. Here's how it starts. It starts with Phil in a plane, and
Is it worth? Like, does it get worse than like the first?
I am definitely. If you think I ruined your childhood here, I am definitely ruining your childhood in this one. They finally break the mutants in.
I can't stop looking at this Hulk, man.
Yeah.
It looks like the Hulk from Ohio.
Yo, I'm telling you, Ohio Hulk, budget Hulk. So, that's Phil, right? And they're kind of like re-explaining it. Do you know who that is on his right? It's okay if you don't know who this is. I will give you a name.
I have not seen her.
Okay. Do you know who? Technically, yes, but you probably haven't. Do you know who Raven Darkholm is?
Nope.
Mystique?
Oh, yep.
Yeah. So like, hello, excuse me, Miss Darkholm. Wasn't it? Excuse me? And he looks at her. And Mystique... So here, I'm going to actually send you this image first, and I want you to explain to me what's going on, or explain to chat what's going on with the hands. You don't have to read it. Just let me know what's going on with chat. Or with the hands.
Looks like she's hurting herself.
Yeah, she's digging her nail into her hand, right?
Yeah.
So what's Mystique's power? You know
to shapeshift.
Yeah. But do you also know that when she shapeshifts, she kind of like she's that person. She gets that person's like the way they act. She has like personalities, right?
Yeah.
What if I told you that she has multiple personality disorder from shapeshifting?
Oh.
Yo, I can't keep going, man. This is actually disgusting me out, bro. Like, I'm physically cringing from all of these images. It gets worse, man. I'm telling you. She literally explodes from shapeshifting so many times. Yup. Oh, I'll be right back, bro. This is cringy.
Wait,
I gotta turn on my lights, dog. This shit is gross as fuck.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
itching my.
Yup.
Itching my hair, bro.
Oh, you guys get to see the lights on because this is disgusting. I'm about to show you this. All right, here's Raven Darkholm, aka Mystique, shapeshifting so many times that it's just gross. It's just gross, man. This is what she looks like. Yep. She has that's a mouth coming out of her eye, by the way. This right here, that's a mouth. Yep. It is literally absolutely disgusting.
I feel like they should make like a horror movie. Not movie, but like a series.
That's what Marvel is trying to do. They're trying to get into the aspect of horror.
I feel like they would just censor so much.
Well, we saw Werewolf by Night, right? That's kind of like the horror they're getting at, or like the WandaVision stuff, where it was mostly jump scares. I think that their target demographic, when you look at it, right, their target demographic isn't like adults. Unfortunately, it's mostly kids.
Yeah.
And then sometimes they'll have like movies that are like teenager guided, or comics that are leaning towards teenagers. Yeah, this isn't it, obviously. Um, but they'll probably never do a comic like this, simply because. But you know, as I explained, Phil Sheldon is dying, and you're about to see the luckiest man alive, right? So he lands the airport. He lands at the airport, right? And he's going through customs, and they said like a bunch of men in black boarded the plane following the emergency landing that took Miss Darkholme away, right? They called her a shapeshifter and said that being so many people in a short space of time gave her multiple personality disorder. They said the pills would have stopped her brain from imploding if she remembered to take them, right? And you know, he's talking about his experience. Here I am blowing my twilight years researching a book, the way things changed, right? And he's talking about it. The way that the paranormal stuff that's been happening since '61, it always gone wrong. The government, right? With, I'm about to show you this image real quick, and so the government. It says the government guy shoves the hippie, and I hear the sound of breaking glass and metal from over there, or over here, or whatever, right? Do you know who the guy at the bottom is?
I want to say no. I was gonna say a villain name.
Yeah, go for it. You're
Oh,
right.
like I was gonna say Electro.
No. Um,
No.
what if I show you this image, the next one? Will you know who it is? It gets grosser. If you really start analyzing it, it gets grosser.
Oh.
Do you know what's
Oh,
going? Do you know
damn.
what's going on? Look at the guy on the bottom right.
The bottom left or right?
Right, bottom right. Look at the guy at the bottom right. Do you see what's going on with him?
He's
You see the gun is slipping out of his hand and the stuff on his
yeah.
legs. What that is? All
Yeah.
right. So,
Was that coming out?
do you know who? Do you want to give a guess as to who the villain is before I explain it? Villain.
No. Doctor is it Doc? No, not Doctor Doom. Right?
It's Magneto, right?
Magneto?
Yep. Do you know that there's a term? Have you seen the scene where Magneto pulls all the adamantium out of Wolverine? All the metal
Oh.
out of him?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So technically, you have iron in your body, right?
No way. He's doing that to his
rip-
body.
He's so Magneto never learned to control the magnetism in his body. He is pulling everything made of metal. Right. That thing that he had around his chest, that is a kind of like helmet, like the helmet he wears that helps control his powers. That thing around his chest is basically, it serves the purpose of that helmet. And he is basically like imploding, right?
Jesus.
Yep. He's blowing up because they
They have iron in their body.
They have iron in their body. Yeah, the people are being pulled apart. Here's the bomb or the Magneto thing, right? And here's the guy. He can't hold on to the gun anymore. It flies off, and then so does anything metal. His phone, the iron in his body, it just gone, right? And they all think it's a bomb. They get like White House people to come in, basically. And the worst part is, do you remember where they were? Where they were at?
Mm, are they protesting or protesting about something?
Well, they were, but
Like,
did you see? Like, look at the picture. Did I send you the picture with them? Where Mystique is, where she's digging her fingers in. They're on a plane.
yeah.
That just landed. They're at an airport. And what are planes made out of?
Iron, metals, and no,
Here's the next image, buddy.
no way.
Yep. He is literally.
Oh my
You see that
god.
jet turbine? Holy, I can't, dude. I cringe looking at this, dude. There's that jet turbine there, and it's pulling people in, and Phil's, like, teeth are flying out of him because they're made of metal. Anything, dentures, people's, like, any metal plates that people have on their heads, dentures, metal teeth, braces. Imagine
Ah.
your braces ripping out of your mouth, right? You're losing your teeth. This guy has metal teeth, so they're ripping out of him. Plane turbines. It's strong enough to pull plane turbines off the, like, break the spools off of them and pull them in, right? The idiot
Jeez.
smashed it when he shoved the hippie out of the way, and now he's screaming like a baby in the irons in his blood being sucked out through his flesh. A filling rips away from its setting, smashing two perfectly good teeth as it goes away. Couldn't hit the bloody dentures, could it? Here's a wailing, a wrenching of steel from beneath the plane as all of a sudden I know how this is going to end. I raise my camera away like a professional, and I've seen something. I relive every time I close my eyes. The idiot who started it too close to the magnetism. The medics tell me it was a massive neural hemorrhage brought up by the intense electromagnets, right? And the bottom is, Phil.
I was just about to say, is that Phil?
That is actually yeah, that's, if I'm not mistaken, that's Phil. Actually, I don't think that's Phil.
But you say he got lucky, right? Like
Yeah.
he survived.
Yep. I'm going to send you a couple more images, and the last one it progressively gets darker. Here's the first one.
Okay, it ain't bad. It looks like the
The plane that's ripping. Here's the second one.
yeah. That's Magneto.
That's Magneto. Yeah. Here's the third one. Number 4.
And he is pulling that plane apart.
He's pulling it in. There's Magneto's face. Fucking never getting that out of my head. I'm going to sleep dreaming about that. And there's all the people in the airport being pulled
Holy
in.
shit.
Yup.
I mean, bro.
Here it is. Look at all those people at the bottom, and that plane is just being pulled in. All of them. Any kind of metal at all that exists. You guys doubt how strong of a villain Magneto is, and you say, you hate all the X-Men, but imagine if this was happening on a daily, and the only people that could stop it was a guy made of ice, a dude with hands for feet, and a guy with wings, right? Like, this is that's it, right? You think Iron Man could stop this? Funny.
Iron Man would have no chance.
Iron Man would have been that guy on the floor. That's what Iron Man would have been, right? Anyway, it all goes downhill from here. Phil is the only one to make it out alive, and we see him moving on. He is speaking. He goes to Texas, right? As you remember from before, Professor X is the president, and I mentioned he hates mutants. I don't know why. They never explain it, but he just hates mutants. And he contracted someone that he believed could help him run a psychiatric ward for mutants.
Psychiatric ward.
You know when people
Like-
with like mental problems go to psychiatric wards,
Like
like a psych ward.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Like you have like schizophrenia, they need to put you into this building to treat you, and then they end up like the whole things in the '60s was like shock therapy, and they would electrocute you and you'd die, and they'd be like, we cured this guy from his schizophrenia. He's all good now. Go back into society, and he's like his brain has exploded from like all the volts of electricity that hit him, right?
Jesus.
So Phil goes to Texas, right, to a psych ward, and the ward or the warden is none other than the Kingpin. Why? Dude is huge. No one's getting out. Plus they're New Yorkers, right? Here's you want to see what Kingpin looks like? He doesn't look bad actually. He's one of the only characters that I say looks pretty cool. Here's the Kingpin. He kind of walks a little funny, but that's it. That's all he's got going for him, right? That's the bottom picture, right? And he's like, he's like, we don't usually allow journalists access, Mr. Sheldon, but I have fond memories of when you worked and lived in New York. Reckon you could get some fine photographs here for the Bugle, right? And he tells him, he's like, this here's the Summers boy. Do you know who Scott Summers is?
What?
Do you know who Scott Summers is?
Scott Summers?
Yeah.
Um.
It's no. It's the
Nah.
it's the human name. It's Cyclops. Scott Summers is Cyclops, right? And he's
Okay.
like, here's they're here. This here's the Summers boy, particularly here on the shot corridor, eh? What you wake up, you bunch of mothers. Incinerated his family with his eyes. Had to blind the boy to get them eye beams under control, didn't we? Boy, we had to blind you, right? And Scott pulls his hands out, right, of the cell. And he's like, is the president here? And, you know, Kingpin smashes his hands and says, the boy don't remember too good no more. Shot corridor is a little joke, you see. Obviously, they blinded they took his eyes away so he couldn't open them, so he couldn't shoot his laser beams. And then they electrocuted him. They gave him shock therapy, right? So that's why he's like, he don't remember too good, right? And then, you know, there's something in here to shock everyone, Mr. Sheldon. The wretched, the hungry, the mutants, the cannibals, the bastards, the weird, Mr. Sheldon, the weird. Take little Kitty here. Do you know who Kitty Pryde is?
Kitty Pryde?
Yeah, Kate Pryde, Kitty Pryde.
She's
She's an X-Men. I haven't really talked a lot about the X-Men, but she's the girl that can walk through walls.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Yeah. So this is what he says about her. Take little Kitty here. She does this intangible thing, fantastic to see. But last time she tried to escape, she got solid again in the cell door and lost 3 feet of intestines.
Ooh.
Like she ran through a wall, but she couldn't control her powers because there's no Professor X, there's no X-Men. The X-Men teach mutants how to control their powers. No X-Men, meaning she couldn't develop her powers, meaning she walked through a wall. Half of her body was, like her whole body was solid when it went in, but she didn't make it out fully, fully intangible. And her body went solid inside the wall. So she lost whatever. Yep. I'm not, there's no image there, so I can't show it. But then there's a couple other guys that I'm gonna show you, and I'm positive you should know who the guy on the left is. You might not know who the one on the right is.
Yeah, that's Nightcrawler
Yep, what's he doing?
biting his tail.
Yep, he is eating his own tail. He is so hungry that
Wait, I feel like I know who the person on the right
that's
is.
Kitty Pryde.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That looks like Storm, cause like the
light.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Kitty Pryde. You can tell because you see him like getting ready to smash the stick in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, here's what
And
happens
what were
when he
you
does.
saying about Nightcrawler? He eats his tail.
He eats his own tail. Yep, he's eating his own tail because they're starving. They're in a literal
Yeah.
psych ward. They have no food. He's literally eating his own tail. Then the new picture I sent you, that's the top one is Kitty Pryde. The thing is going through her because she's intangible, right? And she has to be intangible or she'll die because she lost her organs. And do you see who the bottom one is?
Quicksilver.
Yep.
Oh my God! Yo, his lips. Jesus.
All right. So he's like, other times already the things he said. Hold on, I'll read it from the top. And he's like, he's like, why did the boy think the president was coming? He's like, old President X comes down to visit. Sometimes he just sits in his chair and stares at them, kind of sad. Other times, Lordy, the things he says to them leaves them all sobbing and throwing up. One time I remember he dropped his pants and screamed at him, "Y'all came from this!" Right? He's talking about his nuts. Anyway, he's like, fantastic to see, right? He's like, oh, now that's for Quickie's own good, Mr. Sheldon. Don't go feeling sorry for him, Warden Fisk. Why are you keeping these paranormals here, right? And he tells him, he's like, because that's what I've been told to do. The president, you see, he knows. He keeps it this way. It's the way he wants it, all locked up quietly. You heard about this place in rumors. I know. Rumors don't hurt anything, Mr. Sheldon. Now let's go collect your camera and see you on your way out. The president said I should extend you every courtesy after all. He didn't want you to bring no proof out, but he said that he wanted to grant a dying man his last wish, right? And here's how it ends. Here's how his meeting with the X-Men ends. All of them with their hands out, kind of like begging, right?
Jeez.
Yeah, really sad. And then the next kind of couple of images, I'm not showing them because it's kind of freaking lame. But compared to what we've seen before, it's really tame. It's him sitting in the park, writing something, and then some girl comes up to him and gives him a flower and hugs him. He's like, "Would you like to have some sandwiches with me and mommy?" It's probably his daughter. And then we get to more files of characters that he has, right? The first one being out in Montauk. Out by Montauk, Dr. Donald Blake. Do you know who Dr. Donald Blake is?
Donald Blake? No, I
Thor?
don't think so. Thor?
Yeah, Thor in the comics was originally Dr. Donald Blake. If you remember during what is that movie? The first Thor movie actually. When Selvig brings him out, he's like, "Oh, this is Dr. Donald Blake, a brilliant physicist, right?"
Yep.
That's what they're referring. They're referring to Dr. Donald Blake, aka the original body that when Thor originally gets kicked out of Asgard, right? Odin decides to say, "You're gonna learn how to be humble by living inside the body of a cripple, aka Dr. Donald Blake, who had a walking stick, and every time he struck his walking stick, right? Like do you remember in Thor 3 when he struck the umbrella and he became Thor?
Yeah.
That's how that would happen, right?
Okay.
So every time he struck the walking stick, he'd become Thor. But if he lost the hammer for more than 60 seconds, he'd turn back into Donald Blake. That's actually how in Infinity War Thanos ends up killing him. Thor throws the hammer at him, and Thanos kind of turns it into Lego pieces, and then turns it back into the hammer, and it falls. And then he can't reach the hammer in time, so he dies. That's how he dies in Infinity War. Just aside. Here is what it gets much worse. This is what Thor looks like at the top, and at the bottom I'll explain the kids. Here's what Thor looks like, and I'll read it to you. No legit MD struck off. Operating the cult of Thor. Thor, apparently some Norse deity who Blake channels. Cultists live in a cave system. Blake first saw Thor after eating fly agraric mushrooms in Scandinavia somewhere. Fly agraric used by Vikings to send them into a berserker's rage. It's a hallucinogen. And he believes, this guy, you can see him holding a regular hammer, believes he's Thor. He's hallucinating. Thor doesn't exist. He's just hallucinating it all.
Jesus.
So, do you remember, have you seen Vinland Saga, the anime?
No, I haven't watched all of it. No.
You haven't seen all of it? You've seen some of it? Like, how much of it have you
I've
seen?
Like maybe like the first 3 episodes.
Did you get up to the part where Thor's dad is on the boat?
Oh, and he started fighting all these men.
And then he fights the one big guy?
Yeah.
Do you remember he takes a mushroom and becomes a berserk?
I think so, but he gets his like ass kicked too.
He goes into a rage when he eats the mushroom. That's the mushroom that Thor is on. Or
Oh
Donald
my
Blake.
God.
He's on that, and it's a hallucinogen. It makes you believe that you're going to a berserker rage, and he believes he's Thor, but he's not. He's tripping, and I will show chat Thor here in a second.
He looks old, like
Yeah.
Jesus.
Here's Thor at the top, and then at the bottom. Oh, here I'll make this a little bit easier for you guys to see. There's Thor at the top with his crippled legs there and his regular hammer. That's not Mjolnir. That's just like a hammer you find at like Home Depot. And then at the bottom here, do you know who this is? Emma Frost.
I could see that. And who are those kids?
So those are children she's legally adopted into her church, the Church of Acolyte Parents, and the kids go into surgery to bring out psychic abilities. In the comics, Emma Frost, who is by the way my favorite character, this kind of ruins it for me, but whatever. Emma Frost, she's a telepath who can turn herself into diamonds. She's two powers, diamond form and then telepathic form. She has 4 kids or 3 kids, 4 kids. She has a couple kids, and they're all twins, and they're called the Cuckoos, right? And they all have telepathic powers, and all 4 of them, if they come together, they're just as strong as Emma, right? They're pretty weak, but when they come together, they're as strong as Emma. Or that's the idea. She's making her cuckoo kids, right? The children by lobotomizing their brains so that they can get psychic powers, right? And then we head to one other guy, Quintano Carnival, I think it's called. It's out in the desert, right? Who do you think is at the carnival? Do you know who runs at the carnival?
Mm,
Someone that does a lot of shows at a carnival. No.
like
Alright.
a clown.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. We'll play. I fell into that one. So it's a makeshift circus ring laid out on the desert. Ugly people do their shtick for audience and uglier people. Attractive women does something illegal with a python for 10-15 minutes. Hush comes over the place as the main attraction rides slowly into the ring. Saint John, or Blaze, they call him. Lots of scarring on his face, dead eyes like a flagellant. Do you know who that is? Saint John Blaze? Johnny Blaze?
The Human Torch.
No, Ghost
Wait,
Rider.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, Johnny.
Yeah, Johnny Blaze. They're thinking Johnny Storm.
Is
Don't
it-
worry, I forget it as
Yeah,
well.
yeah,
I confuse it
yeah.
as well.
Both of the names are Johnny,
Johnny,
right?
their both names are Johnny. You have
Yeah.
Ghost Rider, right? And so,
Yeah.
I'm going to send you a picture of it first. Where is it? No, I didn't get it. God freaking damn it. Oh, I did get it. There it is. Hold on. I'm sending this. See, I almost got scared. Look at what he's doing. Obviously, there's no devil, right? So can you see what he's doing? While Phil takes the picture?
Well, what's that?
It's Jerry Can, like in GTA.
He setting himself on fire?
Yup. Oh my god, fuck. That cringed me out so much, just your actions from it. You ready to see what it looks like when he rides his motorcycle? Oh man, it's so fucking cringe. I don't think I can do Marvel Buddies anymore after this.
Is he hallucinating? Does he think like
Nope. He lit himself on fire. This dude is on fire, my guy. Oh, I'm literally cringing. Look at that. This is what. Oh, hold on. I covered his face with that. Here it is. There it is. Johnny Blaze riding on a motorcycle. Out. Yep. I did tell you before this. This was gonna be Marvel's darkest comic ever. But yeah, there he is. This was the last time Blaze did his stunt. But for hours, this shot, right? He rode around the desert screaming just like that. Technically dead. Facial fat flying off. His torched head like hot rain, but still riding, screaming. Dude was popping a wheelie with his head on fire down the desert for hours, screaming because he that's him. Right? Phil then makes it back home. And, he's currently in an apartment in Louisiana, and he's like, it's not just one thing. It all went wrong. I thought I might find a single mistake, a single accident that led to all this, and I didn't maybe. We're just living in the world of Murphy's Law. Everything that can happen will go. Everything that can go wrong will go wrong, right? Without explanation. I can't explain it. I can't explain it. The best I can do is show people what things could have been like. Best I can do is get some sleep. I'll make sure I'm alive to write the book. I'm so tired, and the worst bit is still to come, right? And then he has a dream, right? In his dream, he's like, I dream of men on fire in the upper reaches, dancing in stilettos on clouds, right? Obviously, he's referring to the Human Torch. And the good men come and drag President Tricky from his retirement place and kick him to death, right? And they show the President X. They show President X in Washington and every place else, and make him cry until he promises to fix it all. And good things happen every day. And walking in the street becomes like going to church for there are high fashion angels in the sky and clap and cheer, and good things happen every day, right? And that's what he dreams of, right? And then he has images of Oklahoma. I'm going to send you this image, right? And I know you know who this is. Jesus, my parents tried opening my door, and that shit scared the fuck out of me after looking at that Ghost Rider picture, bro. I know you saw me like twitch, bro. I saw my doorknob, I'm like, shit, bro, they after me, bro. Holy moly, man. I am literally fucking cringing, dog. I would have yelled. I would have screamed at the top of my lungs.
Bro, now you got me looking at my damn bathroom, bro. Look.
Yeah, for real, dude. Dude,
it's all dark.
I don't know if you notice why I'm looking back, because every time I feel like one of these dudes is just gonna, one of these fucking freaks is just gonna pop up behind me and be like, hey, you know, like I'm gonna, if someone comes through my window, I think I'll just start crying, dog. I think I'll just I'll die.
Just hear someone knocking.
Yeah, for real, bro. I turn around and it's like one of the mutants or something, or Mystique blowing up. I just sit and cry, dog. I would cry on stream for like an hour. I swear. Alright, but You see what I sent you? I know you don't know who most of these guys are, but I think you can make out who the person at the bottom is, at least. His name is literally there.
Bucky Barnes.
Yep. People who have been Captain America, right? Like Falcon has been Captain America, Miles Morales has been Captain America,
Yep.
Bucky Barnes has been Captain America, right? So during the time when Captain America went into the ice, right? That's why you never hear about Captain America. He was never recovered from the ice. During the time when Captain America went into the ice, obviously Bucky Barnes eventually went into the ice, but they recovered him as the Winter Soldier. In this universe, he never fell into the ice. Because Captain America ended up sacrificing himself, right? It's different. Bucky's death is different in the comics. Bucky is, so the way they end it is, do you know who? What's this guy's name? Baron Zemo, right? You know who Zemo is? He has the purple Yeah. Zemo flies off in a rocket ship, right? Kind of like the one that the Red Skull rides at the end of the Captain America: The First Avenger, right?
Yep.
In the way it ends is the rocket is flying off, and I'm blanking on these names. Zemo launches, like, ejector seats out, but the bomb is still heading to the United States, and Bucky's at the top, and his foot gets caught in like a ladder to get to the top to defuse the bomb, and he's caught in it. He's upside down, and he looks at Captain America, and he
Don't
goes,
tell me.
"What? What's up?"
Oh, I thought
No.
are they gonna die?
No. This is just for This is just like how it actually happens in the comics. It's a bit different.
Oh,
They make it.
okay.
Bucky pretty much makes it to the end. And the way Captain America in the comics goes into the ice is they're riding on the rocket, and Bucky goes, the world doesn't need Bucky Barnes, it needs Captain America, and he pushes Captain America into the water, and the ship explodes, right? And Bucky explodes, and that's how he becomes a Winter Soldier, he gets the metal arm and whatnot, because he was the closest one to the explosion. Cap falls and sees him explode, and then crashes into the Arctic waters and, freezes and never gets saved. In this universe, that never happens. Captain America explodes, Bucky didn't make it in time, and Bucky ended up, I guess what it says here is they're fascists, right? During the time of Captain America's death in the comics and then his return as Captain America, two guys by the name of Creed and Monroe end up becoming Captain America for a time frame. And I promise I'll cover all of this. I have to do a Winter Soldier episode, like the event, Captain America the Winter Soldier, because the Winter Soldier actually goes after them and kills them. But pretty much they end up, Bucky Barnes, Monroe, and Kree, who were the Captain America and Bucky Barnes of the time frame, end up getting taken by the government and executed. That took a lot longer than I needed to just talk about three nobodies, but that pretty much is what happens. And then he goes to the Rocky Mountains, Phil, right? Phil goes to Rocky Mountains because he has to talk to someone about his last kind of group, right? And he's visiting a guy named Ben Grimm and his wife, Alicia Masters. Do you know who Ben Grimm is?
Ben Grimm.
Yeah.
Ben Grimm. Is that the thing?
Yes, sir. That's the thing.
Yep.
So he goes to the Rockies to see Ben, and Ben is good. He's not a rock monster. He's a normal dude, and he's smoking a cigar, and he's like, see, the Russians, they finally got a guy up last month on the moon, right? Or in space, right? And he like, would have been sooner, but the comrades ran out of rubber bands, eh? And he tells him, he's like, anyway, I was getting into into engineering at the Cape, lecturing at the local university there too. That's how I met Reed Richards and the Storm kids, right? Susan Storm, who ends up becoming Reed's wife, and Johnny Storm, right? And then he tells him, he's like, he was interested in Estrella, which is the rocket that they end up taking where they get their powers, right? The link between the orbital capsules I used to ride and the Apollo moonshots that followed, Estrella had been a workhorse that just really fly, not just a box that went around in circles, right? So back in the day, the rockets were just, they would launch into space, you'd go in and around a circle, and then you'd land down until you go around in a circle until you hit the atmosphere and landed. this rocket could actually like fly around in space and whatnot, right? And that was his plan. And he said, Richards wanted to study the cosmic ray activity, and Estrella thought, though built and fueled, wouldn't be ready to go until 65, right? The year was 61, so he had years to wait. Reed Richards turned up to my house one night raving. He wanted to steal Estrella and show him all that red tape was anti-science, right? Wanted me to fly the ship for him. We had a flight. I decked him. I told him I wanted to put motors on the Estrella, and the math wasn't ready, and he'd be stupid, and the stupid bastard didn't hear a word I was saying, right? Reed talked some 10-year hound from the facility called Von Doom into flying Estrella, right? So he got Victor Von Doom to fly the rocket, and they stole her, yeah, and they went up with their widgets and all to record cosmic ray activity into a flash storm of cosmic radiation. If Estrella had decent lateral motors, Von Doom could have maneuvered them away from it. And then he hands Phil a picture, right? And he's like, the pictures, that's the Storm Boy, the first one we found when Estrella came down. The boy caught on fire at cellular level and burned from the bones outward. So his bones were the first thing that caught on fire, and it burned this way, not this way.
What?
So your skin is the first thing to burn, and you burn
Yeah.
inward. His bones caught on fire from the cosmic rays, and it burned this way. That's how he flames on, right? But instead of flaming on, he charred his entire body and died, right?
Jesus.
I'm going to send you the picture and show you what it looks like. It also has Reed Richards stretched out. This is going to be really gross. And then I'm sending you Sue Storm. I think this should be Sue Storm. Yep. So, do you want to explain the top picture? That's Reed. I kind of explained the bottom one.
Of Reed Richards?
Yeah.
And just
You
look
don't
at...
have, just explain what's going on in that top picture.
Are those his bones? Are his
Those-
bones, like, stretched out?
Yup. Oh, God. The way you fucking say
Wait,
it.
what?
Stretched out. Oh. Yeah. His entire bones,
bones
are
are like
stretched.
noodle.
Oh, yep. The way you speak about it, bro. It's cringing. Yeah. His bones are
No.
literally noodle. And then you want to talk about Sue?
It's kind of hard to tell. It looks
That's
like
her
her,
on the top.
like,
She's invisible.
yeah.
Yeah. So they
like-
say.
Huh.
So they say
How would you explain about an invisible person?
So they say that his sister, when the recovery team arrived, she was invisible. Light reflective made her eyes light reflective too. So she was actually blind, and they didn't know she was there until she fell on her brother.
Oh.
She was literally invisible, walking around blind, and then tripped and fell on her brother. And then they never got pictures of Von Doom because they said he went up an animal and came down a mineral. He literally turned into... You remember... Did you see Fan Four Stick? The second Fantastic Four movies? The one they rebooted it with Michael B. Jordan?
Yeah, wait, whoa. No. I have not. I have not.
You don't... Alright, you don't have to because it's dog shit. It is. It is absolutely dog shit. But if you guys remember Victor Von Doom in Fan Four Stick, I'm gonna Fan Four Stick. Von Doom. This is what he looked like, right? With all the rocks and whatnot, and like really shitty rock minerals. They said that he was just this, but like a dust version of this.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, it was just dust, minerals. They couldn't take pictures of it because he was just rock. He looked like everything else. And then, of course, if you guys remember my Reed Richards comics, when they came down, Sue was the first person to turn invisible, but she turned it off, right? And Johnny flamed on. Ben was already a rock monster, and Reed was kind of stretching around him. So they were able to instantly control their powers, right? And so Phil finally goes home back to New York City, and he's like, the Marvels, a green man, a body that stretched like rubber before rigor mortis set in, a silver spaceman, and an invisible woman, Marvels. That's what I'll call the book, right? And he says, I have all the notes, all the interviews, I can write the book, and please, God, can I write it quickly? I wish I had time to really craft the book, make it clear, I'll make it the clearest and best possible case of why the world went wrong, but okay, before I go on and continue reading this, there's a very big character that we never talked about.
At
This is-
all.
This is the end. This is how it ends. There's a big character we never talked about him. Do you know which character that is?
Is it a superhero?
It is a superhero. It's a dude, and we never talked about him. And he's a really
Wait.
big one. He's considered to be
Wait.
probably Marvel's biggest superhero.
Spider-Man?
Yep, we never talked about Spider-Man. This is Spider-Man's story.
Dude, Spider-Man has gone through so much. Like, he's poor, you know,
Yeah.
like his uncle
We're gonna
died.
put him out
like-
of his
like,
misery, my guy.
bro, like
We're putting him
how
out.
how much worse can like this man like get? Like,
Bro, if you get bitten by a spider, right? What happens? Do you just become Spider-Man? Or do you have to go to the hospital and get anti-serum injected into you because you're dying? What are
I
you...
have to go to the hospital, bro.
Okay, now... I'm gonna keep going, and then I'm gonna show you what Peter Parker looks like. That weasel Kid Parker stole that time from me. So hot today, ran out of pills on the train back, have to stop at the pharmacy later. Parker, Peter Parker. So hot, I hate New York. Stop for a minute. Parker, I always hated him, that Weasley kid. Had to be Parker, didn't it? Ready to see what Peter Parker looks like?
Oh my God.
It is the most grotesque and disgusting looking thing ever. Before I send it, trigger
Wait,
warning.
when
Oh,
this is
God.
when he gets bit by a spider, or
Yes. Oh God, I'm hitting enter.
no? I have
Don't
a.
speak, bro. Don't even speak.
Ooh. What's up with the skin?
Oh. All right, ready? Ready, chat. Ready to see what's going on with this?
Wait, what? Got it.
Here he is,
infected
down here.
virus.
Had to be Parker, didn't it? Lousy photographer, worked
Dude.
freelance for the Bugle, paid for his college tuition, and keeping that poisonous old aunt out of his. A scientific major, hold on, let me... Know-it-all weasel, kid messed up a college experiment,
He's
and got
he's
bitten
not
by a...
skinless.
What?
He's not skinless, is he?
No, he's not.
No,
Technically, he's
just-
not skinless. The kid messed up a college experiment, got bitten by a spider he irradiated, got infected, rattled with raging mutant viruses, got infectious visited the Bugle offices before his rashes started to show. Right? Disgusting, gross. All right. I'm gonna show you the next part and explain what happened. Is a contagious little weasel. Oh, I guess they never explained it. His skin turned inside out.
What?
Yeah, he
That's-
basically he broke out, and then here's what happens, because he shook. You see him shaking Phil's hand right there, right?
Yeah.
And Phil's dying, right?
Yup. Oh no, is that contagious?
It's contagious. It's contagious. Skin to skin contagion, man. Here he is. He's breaking out in it, and then he's like hurt, right? He gets that like heart attack hurt looking thing, and he falls back. His suitcase opens up, and all the papers fly out into the wind. The end. What a lovely story.
Wow.
Oh, and just to show you, this is the comic, The Marvels. He actually ends up publishing the book in the alternate universe. And it sells, and he has a book signing, and it's fun and great, and all the superheroes live happily ever after in the other universe. But in this universe, Phil dies, no one gets to know about the superheroes, and bleh, half of them are
Oh
fucking
my
disgusting,
God.
bro. I can't even... I'm looking away from this now. I can't even open my other monitor. I switched it off to...
You know, I
Disgusting,
thought
man.
it'd be worse. I mean, this is worse. Like,
This,
but like,
it's bad.
I didn't expect Peter to look like this. You know,
Oh yeah, of course. What did you expect him to look like?
like
just a lump on his arm because where he got bit and then he got like an injection. He's a normal dude, no power.
I
no
thought
powers.
he would like turn to like a
Man spider,
something. Yeah, man spider, but like more deformed, like the Hulk
like
or
the Hulk.
you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't expect that.
Yep. That's the comic. That's it. That's how it ends. That's all there is to it. There's no more to it. And it is widely. Actually, that's not true. A lot of people consider Marvel Zombies to be the darkest comic Marvel's ever written. But I think that this freak of nature shit that was written,
How about Marvel Zombies? You
um,
didn't think that was dark?
I don't think it's as dark as this because at least in that universe, superheroes still somewhat exist, right? I don't know. In one universe, you have like it makes sense, right? Why that's going on the way it is. It's like brains and whatnot.
Yeah,
And there's
but
like
this
there,
is
that
just like
this is just like this could have been like it had a minimal potential to at least be what we love and know, and everything just went wrong, collapsed, and we got the worst of it. Right? No superheroes, no nothing. Spider-Man never became Spider-Man. The Fantastic Four were the Fantastic Four for 4 seconds. Hulk was this cancer thing, right? The mutants are in concentration camps, or the Kree are in concentration camps, and the mutants are in psychiatric wards. Genosha's being nuked, right? People are literally, you know, living in the
yeah.
streets. It's hell. It's at least the other one. There's no humans alive. This one, you have to like, if you really look at it, right? If you look at it from like the perspective of Phil Sheldon, and you're going around and seeing all of this, it's the most disgusting thing you can see in your entire life. Is just like deformed people and grotesque people, and they're not even like, most of them aren't even people. Like they're mutants, and they're how they're being treated and whatnot. It's really gross. Yeah, I can't keep going on about this. I'm just gonna ask
Uh,
you what you think of the comic, rate it out of 10, and then
Out of like disturb like
like rate
in
it,
category
categorize it as like, was this a good comic? Like, if you saw this in a movie, would you enjoy it?
uh maybe not as I'm eating, because
Okay,
I'll
yeah,
probably
yeah,
get
yeah.
disgusted. But like horror like gross disturbing wise, I'll give it a 10. But like, damn, yeah, I'll give it a 10 just for it being like gross, disgusting, and just like, gruesome,
Yeah, yeah.
like almost like Mortal Kombat gruesome,
I think this is more gruesome than Mortal Kombat. I've played through most of the Mortal Kombat games, and I've seen nothing as bad as some of this, like the Hulk thing, the Mystique thing, the Magneto like face, just the face of him like exploding. The idea that the Silver Surfer wanted to know what it felt to breathe air, so he ripped his lungs out so his lungs could feel air in a vacuum of space with no air, and he just dies. Right, like.
Yeah. You
Ugh,
know,
ah.
what I really felt like sad about, you know, going through all these character deaths was the X-Men in the
Yeah, of
psychiatric
course,
ward.
of course. That's the biggest one that you feel for.
That dude, that was like disturbing to
Mm-hmm.
like look at.
Mm-hmm.
Like Nightcrawler,
Eating his own
seeing
tail.
him. Yep.
Mm-hmm. The idea that like Kitty Pryde didn't make it through the wall when she tried to phase through, and her intestines are on one side and her body's on the other side.
Yep.
Cyclops not having his eyes, they cut it off. Which is crazy because they didn't get to Jean. She just became like a wench, and they shot her.
And Quicksilver, bro, like
Oh yeah, the missing limbs and whatnot. Yeah,
just so he wouldn't just fucking
run away.
run.
He couldn't let him
Yeah.
run away or walk away. God forbid he tried to do a handstand at super speed upside down. Yeah. But yeah, dude, so there they are. Look, Quicksilver and Kitty Pryde right there. My freaking pop figures back there.
Yeah.
But
Yo,
yeah.
I know you was upset about Emma Frost.
No, I wasn't that upset about it. Because I mean, she was normal. It was just the fact that she was like testing kids. That was the
Oh,
bad stuff. But and none of my favorite characters got ruined, so I'm okay. No Black Cat, no Spider Woman. I'm good, man.
yeah.
I'm good. But yeah, no, that's rough, man. That's a rough comic, dude. I don't even look. I'm trying to think of like the most
Is there
catchy title to name this, but by
is there
God,
like
man.
any like comics like these? Like any gruesome or
Marvel Zombies, a lot of people consider it to be more or just as gruesome because you have Like there's scenes where Hulk like thunderclaps Thanos' skull, and like just
Ooh.
smushes it. There's scenes of like people eating intestines and brains and stuff like that because they're zombies, right?
Yeah.
So that is a lot of people consider that to be gruesome. Um, I don't think there's many comics out there that tops this. And you know what's crazy? I found out about this comic. Alright, I had planned on doing this comic around when I came back from like that Monday before I left on my trip. I wanted to do it. And I had found out about it like around New Year's time through the Marvels, right? I read the Marvels and they were telling me like it's you have the Marvels and it's like a comic where you kind of see all of that through the perspective of someone else, right? And I'm like, that's sick.
Yeah.
This would be like a pretty nice event to talk about and cover. And as I was typing the Marvels, Marvel Ruins came up. And that caught my eye more than the Marvels because it had like it was a darker comic. It looked darker.
You feel like you have more
More
to talk about.
No, I was more interested in when I first looked at it in Marvel Ruins than I was the Marvels. So I went and read Marvel Ruins and I was like, who is this Phil Sheldon guy? And then I went back, read through the Marvels, understood the Marvels and figured out who Phil was, and then reread this comic. I'm not lying. I reread this comic so many times, right? I reread it last week because I had planned on streaming last week, so I reread it. I reread it today because I had to keep it all fresh in my head, and I still cringe because a lot of this stuff is so gruesome and grotesque, and it's really gross, man. I would not have like if you're easily queasy, I would not recommend this comic for you. If you are
or people that have weak stomachs, you know.
Dude, yeah, people with iron stomachs, I wouldn't recommend this comic to, man. This is some dark shit. This is some like you really need to be like you need to have like another mentality to read this comic, man.
You
and
know
like,
what this comic
I have to like right now when I end the stream, I'm going to go eat some chips and like watch some cartoons, man, to get this shit off my head. Like that's the only way I'm gonna get this shit off my head. What's up? You were gonna say something though?
No, yeah, I was gonna relate this comic to like a movie. Like, you ever seen The Final Destination?
Yeah.
Yeah, like how unexpected deaths happen, like so
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, like this, you wouldn't expect these characters to like have these deaths or go through.
What they did, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, bro.
I
I
can't remember.
when I first hopped onto the stream with you, Micro. I didn't expect this from you
Yeah. No.
at all.
Nope.
I did not expect this.
Nope. I know.
I
That's
thought we was gonna talk about like
Ant-Man
like
or something.
yeah, bro, like this
I need-
upcoming Ant-Man movie.
I do need to start talking about like Ant-Man.
Yeah,
Real soon.
speaking of Ant-Man, yeah, you do like before the movie comes out.
Yeah.
When does the movie come out actually?
A couple weeks. Sorry, I'm just checking stream out. But it should come out in a couple of weeks. I think it's the 12th or the 16th or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But wow.
Yeah.
What can I
Really gross, man. It's not. Yeah. Yeah. You're welcome. I showed you a different side of Marvel, man. This comic is not for the faint of heart, man. It's not for normal people, man. You gotta understand that a lot of these superhero comics are typically geared for little kids, and not this one, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm literally lost at words at what to say right now.
If they do decide to make this like a series, do you think it will be something similar to like What If, the animated series?
They might. I could see What If doing something like this because it's a very similar concept of like alternate timelines.
Yeah.
I don't think they will actually do it though.
Okay.
This
Yeah.
thing, like, they did Marvel Zombies, and that was a little tame, right? That wasn't the Marvel Zombies that they did wasn't that bad
Yeah.
compared to the comic. I don't think that they could in any way, shape, or form do this comic and do it right without some of the stuff that we've seen.
Yeah. Like all the stuff that we're seeing, like
How are you gonna how are you gonna explain like Peter Parker,
Nightcrawler
BFF,
eating his
Nightcrawler,
own
tail?
tail,
Yeah, those are stuff that are like very unexplainable concepts to
or just the plane scene with like Magneto,
Magneto.
he
Yeah, that
pulling everybody in.
yeah, the scene where Nick Fury unalives himself. That's something I don't think you can show on screen.
Yeah, definitely
Um,
not.
yeah, but especially a show geared towards kids made by Disney.
Yeah.
I don't think that they'll ever make something this like this.
They'll probably have to make like a rated R side
Side, yeah,
for
yeah,
adults.
yeah.
Adult version.
I don't think that they'll make this. But that's
Yeah.
kind of why I did want to talk about this. Like I know we constantly talk about heroes and whatnot, but I think that I needed to
Do something different.
different. Yeah, I wanted to talk
Yeah.
about something different. Um, half of me is grossed out. The other half is me trying to figure out what to name this on YouTube. Like what I should title this on YouTube, dude. 'Cause
Watch at your own risk.
watch at your own risk. Yeah, for real. I have to literally put that at the title or something like that. It's gonna be like something really long and funny. Marvel's grossest event ever. Watch at your own risk. Do not watch. What we do at 3 a.m. What Marvel
Or
does at 3 a.m. Right?
something-
Like,
Something you wouldn't expect from Marvel.
yeah, something like that. I don't know, dude. Half of me is still like, ugh. I have like so
Yeah.
many images in my head, man, that I can't get out. But
Yeah, I'm
yeah,
still kind of itchy, bro. Like,
yeah, next week Ant-Man. Don't worry. We're
Yeah.
going to lighter topics. Do you have anything else you want to say before I head off here?
wait, where'd you say you read this comic off of?
Marvel Unlimited. You can
Mar-
find this on
oh.
Marvel Unlimited.
Well, I hope you get sponsored. You know,
Yeah, thanks, man.
Marvel. Yeah.
Marvel Comics, man. I know you own Marvel Unlimited, bro. You gotta slide me some sponsorship.
Yeah, bro.
You know,
Email him, man.
marvelous Marvel Buddies at gmail.com, you know, or DM me on Twitter, Marvel Buddies Pod. Message me on. I didn't even dude. I went straight into this. I forgot to post like all the stuff on the side, the YouTube's link, the Twitch link, or the YouTube's link, all the links on the side, man. It's all good.
Yeah.
I don't think I can, man. You guys will see this on YouTube, youtube.com/Marvel Buddies Podcast or whatever. I think that should be. Just look up Marvel Buddies Podcast. I'm done, man. I can't. My head is gone, bro. Holy. But yeah.
I'm lost for words.
Me
like,
too, man.
I don't have
Again,
nothing.
Ant-Man next week. God.
Yeah.
I'll,
Hey, next week, we'll when we go to next week, we will forget about what happened last week. You know.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's Marvel Buddies this week. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your week. Stay tuned. I might stream Midnight Suns sometime this week. I do want to finish the game off. Yeah, that's it. I will see you guys. Peace out, man.